Hold up, Diddy. Hit him with part two, son.
Okay, so are y'all looking forward to the Super Bowl performances? I mean, of course you're
Super
not.
Bowl.
Whatever.
Performing. I don't even know.
Ain't nobody performing.
Her is performing.
Oh, okay. Jasmine Sullivan is too.
Yes.
Actually, she's singing the national anthem.
That's gonna be fire.
That's going to be.
Very
excited about that. Actually.
Fire.
Jasmine singing the national anthem. Okay.
You know it's gonna be hot.
What do you mean?
I said nothing. I just said okay.
I don't like his indifference.
Yeah.
You heard her last
You
album?
got to give royalty.
What? What last album?
Jasmine's most recent
what about
album.
it? Yeah, what about it? You about to hate on it?
Why would I hate on it?
Oh, I was just making sure.
It has a lot of.
We're ready to fight. Like you coming for Jazz?
There's a lot of pent up energy in it. That's all.
Oh yeah, it's a concept album. It's an EP and it's wonderful. I love it.
Oh, The Weeknd is explaining. Is at the Super Bowl too.
Yeah.
I was pretty black.
Is it all black people?
Okay, I see what they trying to do here. Sorry, but we cannot be bought.
All right.
All that good creative energy. That's good stuff.
That'll be fun.
I love creatives. Like they seem to have this whole. I don't know. I don't think I'm a creative person,
That's what she said.
but creativity itself is very. I think of it very narrowly. And if I thought about creativity as a larger thing, like anything that I create, even a thought, that's a creative process. So like, do you have this special access to a different space to create something that doesn't exist? Like you almost have to have a time traveling brain to think ahead, to see what something could be, and then put it together. So even if it's a business plan or how to organize a group, or that takes creativity.
Yeah.
And so like, do creatives have special access to like maybe parallel universe? I don't know. Like,
I would say I do think that makes sense, and I would think of it as people having to have the ability to disconnect from reality, because what you see and what you can feel. Like creatives, they come up with something out of nothing, or they take this and they make it into something else. It's almost like godlike, the ability to see something that is not and to make it into something else. So I do feel like there has to be some level of disconnection from the here and now and creating or tapping into some space, because I don't consider myself a creative person either. I think of when I see like how people can come up with, and I guess it depends, right? Because when I think about creative, I'm thinking about like an artist, or I'm thinking about a singer, or somebody who, maybe I can come up with ideas. I don't know if that's creative. I can be like, oh, that'd be a cool idea, but I'm not going to be able to build something from nothing. I don't think that I do well.
I think I would disagree. I think you do, because creativity is not limited to the tangible. It is the reason people come to church, the reason people come to comedy shows is because someone is creating in what is the image? What was the thing?
The thought visualizer.
The thought visualizer. You are essentially a thought visualizer. It is.
I said I need to put that on my resume.
You really? Yeah, it's
I
actually
do need to write that down so I can look.
But it's the words. If you can create ideas. It's really weird how many people cannot do that. But I do think you have to tap into a place that I want to say does not yet exist to project a idea, or because anything you say or we say, somebody takes that in and it creates a picture in their mind, and now they are thinking of something they've never thought about before, which is a whole new reality, which is a whole new set of choices.
Yes.
All the tentacles connect. So yeah, I think you have to really be touching something to be able to pull that off.
Absolutely.
And I guess we could say, but would that mean that everybody's creative, right? Because when we look at art, it's subjective. Like you decide, it's like this ability to abandon the care of what other people will think to create something, because when you do create, it's subjected to whether people like it or whether people think it's good. I mean, people create stuff all the time. People create movies that are trash, to somebody, or people create music, or like, can somebody decide they're a singer even though they can't sing? I created this song. I have this song. Now, if the collective decides they don't like it, then now you're not a creative person.
I mean, you could, but then somebody just creates auto-tune.
Right.
Someone created something to fix that because they knew.
Yeah. So I just think of like, is everybody a creative? Like, is everyone born with creativity? Because is creativity simply the absence of fear? The absence of,
that's good.
worry about what people think, what people say. Kids just kind of do whatever. They color things whatever color. And we're like, no, a pig is pink. No, a heart is red. And now we kind of create this collective idea of what is right, what is wrong, what is normal, what is weird. And then that kind of stunts creativity.
What's that guy named, the black scientist that everybody...
Neil deGrasse Tyson?
Neil deGrasse Tyson. He was talking about creativity, actually, and he was talking about kids. And he said he watched a mother with her kids walking through, I think, Central Park or somewhere, and he saw them coming up on a puddle. And he said he was thinking to himself, please don't, please don't, please don't. And the guy that was interviewed said, please don't what? He said, and she did exactly what I didn't want her to do. She restricted the kid from jumping into the puddle. And he said in that moment, she killed creativity, because this kid would have learned in that moment, just being creative, just jumping into this space without concern for anybody else and what they think. That kid would have tested, gravity and how liquid responds to this, and then they would have saw this water splash, and it would have flickered something in their mind to say, what does water look like with this? And if it does that. And he's like, that kills creativity. He said that's one of the worst things that American education has done, is killed creativity in our children. And I think that speaks to kind of what you're asking. I think everyone is born a creator with the potential to create. It's just a matter of what happens after that. You have people that are so rooted in reality that stifle creators, that say, no, we don't do that. And what I think that says to a creative person is, so this space in my head where I see this other thing, ignore it, because it's not real.
Yeah.
And I think that's what ends up happening to most folk, is everybody can create. It's just where you in a situation where people are like, no, we don't do that here. We don't do that in reality.
Right, because isn't creativity the absence of fear? Like, if you think about,
That's a good
or
point.
just the ability to do things. Like, maybe I could have been a great snowboarder, but I wasn't exposed to that.
And thank goodness.
Now I have a fear of it.
I'm glad that you don't snowboard.
Yeah,
I'm
She could have been an
I saw a
amazing one.
video the other day of, there's this little girl, this 5-year-old, who's like amazing snowboarder, and clearly she has no fear of it. I'm watching it, and I'm like, baby, if that would have been my
Right?
I was
Right.
like, look at this mountain,
Right.
and the kid has no fear, and that's also why a lot of people say, like, when you have kids, it's nice to allow them to try a lot of stuff, because they don't really have the fear. Fear is something that we teach them. And and I think there's this innate fear.
You're talking about
of
the
death.
negative connotation.
Yeah, of like
Mhm.
what people will think, and if I can do this. And I think that, as we grow, we learn social norms, and we want to be accepted, and then we get this collective idea of what's normal, what's okay, and so we kind of take that away from kids. And so I wonder if it's a different realm or a parallel universe that they're able to tap into, or if it's just the absence of this fear or this care of what people think.
I think it's both. It's an absence of, you don't have the fear of pulling from this other world, because if you have that fear, the fear is really folk telling you, you crazy. Yeah, it's a rejection. And that's the crazy thing. It's being rejected by people who have already stifled their creativity.
Yeah. We want to be accepted by people who do the same things. They're not even like this elevated group of people. You know what I mean? They're even like, it's like, you're not even doing anything.
You're not even doing anything. You're a regular person.
When critics like, it's like, you don't even write movies, and you're going to tell me about my movie? You're sitting at home and you're afraid to go out on your dreams, so now you're going to tell me about mine? Mm-hmm. And so, I wonder about that, and I think that maybe that's the reason I don't see myself as a creative person, because I definitely exist in a shroud of fear, just a worry.
You do?
Yeah, like this.
Dude, your whole Instagram is not fearful. You say the most.
Oh well, my opinion.
Me.
Well, I think that, and I think we've already talked about that. I think that if I'm creative in any way, it's in the way that I formulate my thoughts and express them. So yeah, maybe not. But like at being a tall person, I think, and I only reference that is I do think that my stature stifled my life a lot, because I think that I've always been hyper. I think little short people, they're not aware. Like, they're just like all over the place. Women specifically. I think shorter women, it's like they can be loud, they can be all over the place. I think when you're already the person everybody sees when you're in, there's less need to be the loudest or to be, or you don't want to do, because everybody already looking at me.
Yes.
I don't got to be flailing all over the place. And so for me, I never tried a lot of stuff, because I felt like if I messed up, everybody saw me. If I'm a cheerleader and I mess up, everybody saw me mess up, because I'm taller and bigger than everyone. Right. So I think I've always lived in this space of fear where I didn't try new things. I know how to talk, and I've always been comfortable doing that. But dancing or, singing solos or playing any sports, I never tried any of it for this fear that I wouldn't be good. And who knows how creative I could have been, or or even like sometimes with fashion, I'm like, I think that's cute, but is it cute? Or do I just think that? Is it normal? There's always this thought. And so I think that might be why I often am like, I
agree with you, because especially as a guy though, when you think about fashion, I just have my own taste. I like what I like, and I don't like what I like. But sometimes I see stuff and I'm like, that might kind of be hot. Me and Nicole were in some store. I showed these Converse. They are borderline hideous.
True. Facts.
They are borderline hideous, but they're so close to the border that I'm like, I could probably rock this. But then there's a part of me, and I told a part of me is like, but nah, I can't rock that. Because I'm like, nope, nope. Yeah. So I get you. That's a whole other space.
But creativity too can be birthed by people trying to kill it, right?
That's true.
So even as Black people, as our ancestors, right? We have so many areas that we have been super creative in because we've been oppressed, because we were limited in our resources. So we found new ways to do things. Like, so fine, y'all ain't gonna give us the good food, then we gonna find a way to make this taste delicious.
We make something.
It's a reason the children of Israel multiplied under intense. They created.
Right. So I think sometimes you need the fire to birth creativity. Yeah. So I've become more creative being in extreme situations in lots of different ways. So the pandemic has forced us to be more creative with how we educate our children and how we deal with individuals. I've been more creative in how I communicate, and being more broad in communication. I'm figuring out things. So I think that my creativity is changing. So I think that even if somebody stifles your growth, even as a child, hopefully they've made enough good choices in your life that even somebody pushing up against it will force you to be creative in a different way. So if I was limited in terms of what I could have done for art as a child. When I'm an adult, now I have this passion, right, to create an artistic space for children because I don't want a child to feel that way.
Yeah, I can see that.
That event had to happen for this event to happen. And so I think we can all tap into creativity in different areas, in varying degrees, especially in different parts of our life. You know, he's a super creative person.
No, I'm not.
Whatever. He's super creative, right? In terms of a tangible creativity. You know, I think that I am becoming more creative. I'm giving myself more space to become more creative, but I know that I have creative ideas, like you say. I can creatively put together, and creating words and thoughts is a
that's
lot.
hard. That's what I was going to say, because we already talked about that. You being a preacher and going in front of people and speaking, like, you don't write down every word you're going to say.
No.
You
Write down any
trust,
word.
right, you trust your mind to string thoughts together to where not just you know me well enough to know how I can understand. You're making a group of people from different places doing different things understand one thought that's coming from you. That's difficult, and there are some people that will never be able to do that. Sometimes I look at people, and I think reality TV is one of those things that makes me realize how important being able to communicate is, because you watch these people have feelings and they just can't get the words. And I'm like, baby, you could have got them so together because
15 shows ago. 15 shows ago.
That's
it.
That's
You're
it.
overlooked because you don't know how to talk. And I'm like, so it is an art form. And some people just
Don't have it.
don't have it. So I guess I can take that. I can see that as creative. But I don't, and I guess maybe because it comes so naturally. That's another thing. When it's natural and it's not something that you necessarily had to work for, I don't feel like I sit up and try and figure out how can I make sure I'm a better communicator. It just seems like it's one of those things that God just was like, this will be your portion.
Do your thing.
And so because it's natural, I don't see it as a gift. And I had to learn that at work because my boss is always like, man, that email was great. And man, you said that really good. And I'm just like, what? I just said it, you know? And he's like, Lindsey, everybody can't do that. That is special.
Yeah.
And so, and I just never noticed. I'm like, I guess people can't do that.
I think for those, especially those y'all watching this that are like, dang, you three sound amazing. But I think what you asked before, everyone has the ability. The question I think that is, how do I become more creative, or how do I step into that space, is a big thing. You said it's got to be removing that fear. Pressure and fear I see in two different things. It's almost like it's something like toothpaste. So I don't know how y'all do it, but I get every piece of toothpaste out of my toothpaste.
I do not.
I do. I don't. It's gonna be gone. I mean, I'm rubbing it across the edge to get all of it.
What is happening in your life that caused you to feel like you need it?
Wow, there we go.
Oh, I
there
want
we
every
have
bit
it.
of the toothpaste.
There we
I
have
came.
it.
I came to get
And
everything.
scene.
I only got 70 good years,
I need everything.
and I'm using every bit to make these teeth stay with me as long as they can.
That's funny.
But it's two things here that make this toothpaste thing work, and there's two things that can stop it. You know, there is the pressure I apply to push every bit of it out. And I think that's kind of what you're talking about in terms of things people go through, this pressure that pushes creativity out of you. But all that pressure can be stopped if I put the top on.
Yes.
And the cap is fear.
And the cap is fear. And you cannot be afraid. Now, this is the crazy thing. It is fear that keeps the toothpaste from entering another realm.
That was tasty.
I like that.
So all of our creativeness is in this space. But the only way for it to do or be, it has to enter another realm.
Yes.
I like that.
Yes.
That makes sense.
But if people tell you all your life there is no other realm,
That's scary.
it's just this.
That's it. That's it.
It's just this. Then and I think that's what makes like communicators or comedians or preachers or as artists, it makes it makes us weird Because I don't know any person that's in remotely creative in any sense that's not somewhat weird. Yeah, I've realized that I'm completely weird. I'm a weird person.
And sometimes I'll have thoughts, and I'm just like, man. And literally, I think to myself, and this is where the social norms come in, because I think to myself, I'm like, this is what Kanye be doing. He has these very abstract thoughts that really, if we was all vibing and just chilling and just having some deep thought conversation, we could deal with you. And he just don't stop it. He just don't stop it.
Stop.
Give it to the masses. He's like, oh, y'all get this.
Everybody.
Well, really, sometimes
You get a thought and you get a thought.
And it's like, and for him to have done the things that he's done, there had to be a level of insanity or this lack of care about what people think. So I do think that people that are extremely creative and allow that creativity to happen, they are strange.
No, you hit the nail on the head. There is a level of insanity. There has to, even the idea of modern day church has a whole lot of levels of insanity. You have hundreds of thousands of people coming to one place to listen to some person talk for 45 minutes.
Yep.
On their
From a book that you have.
from an ancient text
Yep.
and their
About this
perception,
entity you can't see.
right? Their perception of an entity you can't see,
Right.
and that shapes your choices. So you are now, now these people walk in the reality of that someone else has created.
You created, yeah. And that's a level of insanity that you even
That's
have.
the insanity. The balls to do it.
The balls to say, I am the leader.
I'm about to do
Who do
this.
you
Yes.
think you are?
Yes.
And we believe it.
You said this before. I think Nicole said this before. All leaders, pastors, politicians, whoever, have some level of narcissism in them.
I 100%.
You got to be like, I'm going to take you all to a magical realm.
Yep.
And you expect us to follow, and it happens.
And we're all going.
Here we go.
That's
We go. That was the first follower concept, if you all seen a TED Talk, where there's this guy, and they call him the lone nut. He's at this music festival, and ain't nobody else dancing, and he's just giving his all, and he's out there just, and he looks crazy, right? Nobody else is dancing. Then all of a sudden, this other person comes up and like, yeah, whoa. And now you got this person who now legitimizes the crazy person. That's the first follower. The first person who signs up to follow you legitimizes you. So creativity is great, but the moment somebody else legitimizes it, it gives it power to go forward. Yeah. So I think that's the cap.
African anteater ritual.
Which
Remember
one?
that? African anteater ritual.
What was that?
From Can't Buy Me Love. Have you seen Can't Buy Me Love with Patrick?
50 bajillion years ago.
What? You don't remember the African he was doing that and everybody started doing it too?
I'm old now.
Oh my God. I know you ain't seen
that.
it.
No, I definitely have. That makes sense though. I think that is that person does legitimize who and whatever it is that you're saying you are, and it's crazy until you get that person. It's just like when people say like, yeah, it was crazy until it happened. Everybody calls you crazy. Like, no, it was crazy until it happened. Or it's crazy until somebody's like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. I like that. Like Kanye West, his shoes. Some of his shoes are so bizarre. Like, he came out with these, like, foam runners, and they look ridiculous. And I remember when I saw them, and I was like, oh, those are ugly.
Then a year from now, everybody's going to be like,
yeah, I have some now. When he came out with the whole, like, holes in your clothes and look like a hobo type thing. And everybody was like, oh, that's so ugly. And then somebody wore it. And then there was this long stretch where everybody was wearing these dirt-looking color clothes, like greens and browns and beiges, and they didn't fit. They was oversized, had holes in them. Completely changed the way people were dressing, and it was crazy until it wasn't. Until more people did.
This was crazy to somebody at some point.
Creativity is crazy. It's decided that something that doesn't exist can, and nobody gets it until it does.
But then mass acceptance kills creativity.
It normalizes it, right? Creativity has a point of innovation, right?
It's no longer innovative when it's normalized.
Exactly. So I think that once once it becomes normal and it's not special, then it's just ingrained into culture as a norm.
Dislike Apple so much now because they cease to innovate.
Oh, I thought you meant like the actual apples we eat. I'm like, well, I'm like, what type of innovation are you needing?
I mean, that's really what creativity is innovation. How do you take this thing that was just for this and make it into something?
But I think the question too is though, where do creatives, and you might have started with a little bit, pull from? What's feeding this? Is it, are we pulling from all the songs? I think you had me listen to that podcast, 1619, 16. Oh, yeah. So, but just all these songs that were created during slavery and during Jim Crow, that right now, if we listen to some of those songs, they make you dance, they make you laugh. You be like, this is my song. But it's created during some of the most oppressive times. It's like, where did you pull? Yeah, it is the alternate. But
is it like wanting to go somewhere else, or?
But where is that? Is that the parallel universe me? Am I pulling from parallel universe me who is happy somewhere, and funneling it through? Because where are you pulling that from? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm wondering.